Hi guys, welcome back. We are going to talk about setting up this box, and unfortunately, it don't come with the book here. You have to download it, which I did. I have the PDF and manual. It's 222 pages long. This is also can work with the TP Link OMAD suite, which I don't have. Welcome back, and today we are going to actually talk about the actual innards of the router thingy I told you about. The TP Link router. Okay, I always give you the wrong model number, and I am sorry. It's the ER605 version 2. Now, before we go anywhere with this, let me just explain to you that this is not all sunlight and rainbows, because there are things that you will run into. Number one, you can go ahead and use online testing manual with this one. There is a newer one than this one. This is just an older model. And when I say older, I mean it does not have USB 3.0. Even though it has 1 gigabyte Ethernet ports on it. So 10, 100, 1000, they will never ever fully hit a gigabit speed. And the reason is because the internal bus is limited. I don't know exactly why. I gotta guess, but that's not the point. Let's explain what this is set up to do. If this internet crashes, let me show you the screen so at least we can see. Let's say you have two internet connections. Maybe, for example, you are using a mobile office. All right. And normally, when you guys are at your job site and you set your mobile office up, you plug into your local internet provider's connection in your area. Well, let's say the internet connection is garbage. Well, guess what? If the main connection is garbage, you can have a second backup. Okay, so like Frontier crashes locally for whatever reason, but they're working on the tower, for example, and you still want to do content. Immediately, it could connect to your backup network. The problem is, the backup network may not be able to handle everything that the main network can handle. For example, as part of my test, I checked to see what would happen if T-Mobile come in and crash when I was playing my MP3s. And of course, it did what you expect. The fallback kicked in, I switched over to T-Mobile, the music continued, everybody was singing Kumbaya, and everybody was happy. But what's you were streaming a video at the time that thing went down? Well, if you're trying to stream at 5 megabits per second on a connection that only does 1.5, you're not going to get very well. You're going to be a very unhappy camper, okay? So, there's something in this router where it's like, gee, I gotta let the people know that we're switching over the connection. Yeah, because you gotta readdress packets, right? But unfortunately, it doesn't do that. And so it gets all kind of confused. For example, if I go ahead and go through the string of notes that says my internet connection's Frontier. Well, no, it's not. There's a combination of Frontier and T-Mobile. They're combined together. So it's load balancing. So the system is taking the data and it's merging the two data packages together, making, for a lack of a better name, a mulligan stew of an internet. It's just a mix of everything. It's a mix of two networks, like a giant Mulligan stew. There's no any semblance of normalcy. It's just you got 1, 0, 1, 1, right? And what happens is when you have 1, 0, and 1, 1, it has to kind of figure out what's going on here. I digress, it's confusing. And I didn't do this video completely before because I knew I was going to have a headache. And just explaining it makes my head hurt. Because there's so much to know, and I can't even begin to explain it to you. But should I have bought the more advanced one? Well, yeah, maybe. At least it'd be faster. However, the new advanced one wants you to use your cell phone and cloud setup for the systems. I don't trust cloud because of the fact is that cloud systems are guaranteed to crash and burn and hurt you. Okay? So instead of using cloud, I much rather just use go right into the web interface and configure it that way. We talk about cloud dependency and cloud crashing and cloud damage and getting lost. Yeah, it is real. Okay, it is real. You can get really, really into a real pickle if you start depending on the cloud. Depending on the web app on the cloud to program your router, it's guaranteed that if the company TP-Link version 3.1 should basically turn into a pile of garbage because the web app doesn't work. The same is true with Frontier. I mean, with T-Mobile. T-Mobile's router is web programmed. It is not programmed by you. You cannot program it individually. In fact, if I try to go to my router hotspot, all I can do is show you the connection. That's it. That's all I can show you. I can't set up the routing table. I can't set up the user. I can't set up who connects with which ports or anything. It's all designed to be done by your phone. But that's kind of stupid because that limits you so much to what you can do. Now, I'm going to show you one other thing, too, since I mentioned this briefly. Okay, I'm going to show you something. I mentioned the source code. I actually opened the file right here to see what it looks like. And this here is the source code for my router. So I can go into, it explains debugging, text network scripts, Open WRT. Notice it's using Open WRT. So which is using a type of Linux to do this. And it makes sense because it's going to save money and it's going to save time for them. I don't know if this thing shows the kernel, operating system, tools, TP-Link folder, which also probably has the configs, the open source, the U-boot file. But let's see if it explains how the make file is done. Configure, docs include, package, readme, license, product, readme again. Okay, let me take a look at this here. Okay, come on, it's just a text file. You don't have to get fancy. Okay. It says, please use make menu config to configure your appreciated configuration and firmware. Okay, so basically what I can do is, like I said, I could add this to this. It uses the OpenWRT systems documented in docs. You'll need a latex distribution. So in other words, Debian would be a good choice for this, for compiling. So this is the complete firmware source code, and you can use this to add additional feature. Okay, so that's what it's using. Because again, it makes sense if you want to keep something inexpensive. Using source code in that fame, scripts, staging directory, feeds, docs, feeds, configuring, make configure default. So all I have to do is I would load that into my my browser, and I can do that. Once you do that, once you do all the happy business, you also can run the source code binary operating system right here. It says this is 2.26. I'm a little bit newer than that, but okay. So let's go take a look at the Er605. So here's the subdirectory again, and you'll see there's the binary file. This is the image that goes into the internal SSD of the device. I gotta warn you, that thing takes forever to boot. It's really slow on starting up. But if I can add NDIS to this, and I may be able to add NDIS, I just have to find an NDIS module that I can add to WRT, so under the USB section, instead of just using POP and CHOP, and I would be able to do just that. So that would be a great idea. So yeah, you betcha. Pretty cool. So let's ask elephant in the room. It's a $59 device. It's using USB 2.0 and apparently a USB bus inside the machine is using USB 2.0. Okay. It's got I don't know how much RAM it has in it, but I got a suspicion it's probably not. It's got enough megabytes of RAM internally, and the SSD I have no idea the size. It's designed to look like a nice little device, but I wonder, because it's using WRT, can I crack into my own device? Interesting. Well, let's see what. It's my device, and I want to crack into it. So let's start by running Nmap. Nmap 192.168.0.1. Let's see what ports are open. Okay, right now I do see that there is a domain port, HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, so I don't see a telnet or FTP port. Okay, well that would make sense. Because you don't really want to have all that kind of stuff open, because it's a good way to get yourself hacked. Not that you can't be hacked with HTTP protocol or HTTPS protocol. But yes, you. So it is using OpenWRT source code. So yes, theoretically speaking, you could reprogram this thing. It takes a while to start. So like when you first buy this thing and you plug it in, don't expect it to instantly just pop up and announce itself. It takes about 5 minutes from my working with this one. But this is $59. Now, first for T-Mobile goes, everything is as you're not gonna get the maximum speed that you're used to with it. Okay, it just doesn't happen that way. It's cute little thing. It works, but the version 3 one appears to be using another definition system protocol, and again wants to use the cloud. If you want to use the cloud, I don't know if version 3 which has the same IP address of 192.168.0.1, if it also works with command line control. It might or may not. I don't know. But it seems like it's useful. But is it good enough for us? Well, maybe. I say maybe because I really do not like the fact that I'm taking a loss of hits of data rate. It really bothers me on T-Mobile because, I mean, if I show you the data rate I get straight out of T-Mobile, so let me switch over to, no, I don't have to. I actually have done it once before. We had about 700, almost 800, 900 megabits per second down. This thing only recognizes about 220 megabits per second down. That's a major slop. That's a major drop. It's a major loss. Upload rate's about the same, so that's nope, don't wrong with the upload rate. I like the fact that I can theoretically keep the network running regardless, but it's just not perfect. Really isn't. But like I said, it's not sunshine and rainbows. The setup is 200 something pages of instructions. They got some beautiful pictures. They got some beautiful diagrams. That will give you a good idea how to set it up. But it's the issue about the fact that it's using cloud-based programming as default Omanda on the older one, which I have, and some other new protocol, the newer one, really just doesn't work for me for web programming. But I do think it works, but I think it's sort of hard to say if it's worth it. Well, anyway, guys, no matter how you slice it, it still comes up peanuts, if you know what I'm saying. So it works, and it'll probably meet your needs for some people, and it certainly kind of is promising for me. But the loss of almost 400, 500, 600 megabits per second down is a little bit of a kick to the Kiwis, if you know what I'm saying, but it's just the nature of it. And the average person probably wouldn't care anyway. Let's bring up another thing, since we might as well bring it up. Bandwidth. Is Frontier really a bad choice for internet? Well, that depends on a couple factors. Number one, what do you do with your internet? Are you a casual person just watching cat videos? Downloading emails, talking to your kids on Facebook or MySpace or maybe even Skype. If that's the case, Frontier is absolutely fine. Are you a content creator like me? Where you're uploading huge videos and live streams and trying to get as much data work done as possible? No. For you, uploading videos which takes forever, but if you're willing to upload videos, at least you don't have to worry about them being buffering. So that's kind of an advantage. So yeah, I mean it's the same price, by the way, for T-Mobile versus Frontier. I'm talking about both the fiber optic and the DSL. If you're going to go, if Frontier has DSL in your area, and it works, and it's reliable, go for it. If you're only stuck with dial-up, and you're a content creator, get something better, okay? Unless you're willing to have to really seriously degrade your service during a live stream. I'm not going to do that for my live streams. I refuse because I want quality. So, Gotta keep that in mind. So, what about other things? What about other protocols? Well, what about other protocols? That's a great question. Well, what about cable modem? If you get cable modem in the area, go for it. If you don't like for T-Mobile but you like Verizon, go with Verizon. If you don't like Verizon, go with AT&T wireless networks. The point is, depending on what you do, you're going to want. I know, I'm really kind of tired. You're going to really want to choose one that's going to meet your application and what it's going to do for you. And so, this little box is very cute. It does work. And the fact that you can have up both 3 internet connections, 4 actually, if you consider the dongle, you can have 4 internet connections on it. Okay? So you can have an NDIS, you may have to program the firmware for this, but you can have NDIS on the USB port. You can have the T-Mobile on 1, Frontier on the 2, and maybe cable modem on 1, 3. And theoretically, it will allow you to juggle between all 3 and can use all 3 together for load balancing. Now, you always say to yourself, Michele, let's be honest. Do we really need to always have 2 internets running? Not always. If, for example, I'm not going to be streaming videos for today, it would make sense to say switch to Frontier because I'm not using it for uploading videos or downloading huge monster files. If, on the other hand, I'm going to be streaming, I definitely want the speed. Speed is what you need to clear your stuffy head. Alright? Oh, how hard is it to do in the Mac? Let's talk about that. If you're using a Mac like the old Mac Pro I had, which had 2 Ethernet ports, and you want to have Frontier on port 1, T-Mobile on port 2, all you have to do is in your routing table on your Mac, which you access by using network. I'll just show you how you do that, just because some people may not know why I mentioned this read about this. If I go to the settings menu here, and I go to system settings, okay, and I go to network, right here, let's just scroll right one here, okay, you'll see that we have devices Ethernet connected, firewall, VPN, and what I can do is over here, is I can change the service order, okay, so what that means is, let's say, I want to add the devices. So let's say I want to turn on Wi-Fi. Well, when they turn on Wi-Fi, that's easy enough to do. I just go up here, click on the Wi-Fi, which would be the same thing if I had a second Ethernet port. Turn on Wi-Fi. Okay? And immediately, you'll see that now, Wi-Fi is on the top. Actually, no, it doesn't show it right there, but it is. So Wi-Fi is on the top above Ethernet. So that means I can swap these 2 around. Now, if I had 2 physical Ethernet ports, I would say Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2. I would do the same thing. So let's say Ethernet 1 is normally Frontier, and Ethernet port is T-Mobile. Then all I do now is by selecting Ethernet port 2 is on the top. That means that T-Mobile would be on by default. Okay? Right now, actually, it is actually connected to front T-Mobile. But, okay, so let's turn it off again. When I turn that off, now, automatically, the routing goes back to Ethernet port. Okay? Which means it would be, in this case, our little TP ER605, not the 603, 503. But that's something to consider. Where the Mac is made easier. I tried to do the same thing on the unit or on the Windows, and I absolutely could not get it to work without crashing my computer over and over again, because Windows routing table on Windows 10 was not capable of handling it. It totally lost it. This is something Mac does in stride, and it never has a problem with. So why is that? Well, I don't know. It just does. And the point is that that's how we've been doing it for a long time. Same thing with the hotspot, was we would have the T-Mobile hotspot on the Ethernet port, and we'd have the Ethernet cable plugged into Frontier, so that before I started the show, I would turn on the T-Mobile hotspot by setting the USB port Wi-Fi to on, and then it would just automatically send out data through to that. And also both Ethernet ports were adjustable, so I could still access my gaming platform and everything. Okay? So there's definitely things you can do that make your network better. Now, why am I so worried about bandwidth? Now, I'm going to bring this up real quick. The reason I worry about bandwidth so much is because of the fact that, well, for one thing, there is absolutely a lot of features that I consider important. And one of them is being considerate to others. If I'm streaming all my videos on T-Mobile and filling up and clogging up the tower, and people can't use it to do all their own computer stuff, I'm being selfish. I don't want to be selfish. I want to find a balance. I already have 2 internet connections, so why not balance the 2? So, like, if, for example, if it's a light file, let it go to T-Mobile or Frontier. If it's streaming video, let it go to other networks. There are things that I do wish that this router had the ability to do with enter port numbers. Now, that would be kind of nice, right? You can send the port numbers, you can enter the UDPs, you can enter the ICMPs. That would make a lot easier for everybody. Okay? A lot easier. But unfortunately, you know what? It doesn't have that feature. So, you saw what it had. It says all data going there. But I could also say all data except. That's what the only thing I could do is say except. Okay? Number 1. FTP can go there. Or could go to Frontier. Okay? Emails can go to Frontier. Web services can go to Frontier. So in a way it can be done, but it's kind of strange, if you will. It's not direct, but it's still interesting. So all the stuff we have to figure out is the best way to route everything. And I'm not sure what the most efficient way to do it is. I'm working on it. Alright, guys, anyway, that's it for now. I just wanted to talk to you about it and see if we can get this. I know I got a lot of B-roll to cut out, a lot of extra dross and stuff like that. So, but for now, I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye-bye.
In the summer's embrace, she finds her